more Voltron! Oh, what my Fox 9's. They can have a Fox. And recently, for like the past couple days, I've been like binge watching the Voltron series. The new Voltron, Netflix Voltron, as for the show. Actually, I bought this before. I was like, you know, I want to buy this just in case I fall in love with the Voltron show and actually start watching it. Well, but yeah, I've seen the new series of Voltron, which, unlike like my She-Ra review where I had watched which also have my Gurren Lagann necklace right there, and I should I should try to find the Kamina's or at least Simon's glasses, but Voltron, unlike She-Ra, which I at least know more from the original one of He-Man. This one, Voltron, is a show that I had not really seen the original one. Most of what I know of the original one is that my father actually has, I think, season 2 of it, but I never watched it. And it came in a Green Lion tin. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, Deadpool. And Deadpool was probably the most I knew about Voltron, because they talked about the five robot lions that form together to form one big guy, or something like that. One giant robot lion man. Something like that. Like, that as far as I knew about Voltron. I didn't know really much else. Although I will say that, like, when I started watching it, I wonder, like, let me actually Google it, because I wonder what came first, Power Rangers or Sentai Warriors, or Voltron. Sorry, I plugged my phone in, because you see. Oh shoot. But because looking at it immediately, you can kind of see, because there is definitely some comparisons you can make between the two shows, because there is definitely a thing where, like, it's basically for 1984. Hey, it only lasted 1 year? Really? The original television series aired in Seduction September 10th, 1984 to 1985. This program entitled Voltron Defender of the Universe. Okay, so 84, and then when did Sentai Warriors? Sorry, I just want to check this really quick. Sentai. Oh wait, Super Sentai. I think that might have been like this. The 70s. Okay, yeah, because the first giant robot. Okay, yeah, but yeah, basically this has a lot to do with, like, a lot of comparisons that you can make with, like, Power Rangers and stuff like that, where you have five teams with badass, five, what is it? What the hell is the line? 5 teams with bad attitudes or something like that, who are brought together by some magical means, who are then brought together to become the defenders of the universe, and each riding their own magical robotic lion. Why is it a lion? It is kind of explained later on. And here's the thing, like, this show gets a lot of praise, and I will say, like, it is a show that, like many, it is good, but it does have some faults. But mind you, I do really, really like this, because I don't know if it's nostalgia. I don't think it is nostalgia. Anybody say, like, well, what do you mean by nostalgia? Like, well, what do you mean by nostalgia if you've never seen the original? Well, I say that because there's a lot of, like, 90's, early 2000's in this movie. In this show. I keep saying movie. Show. And, like, kind of like how I said with She-Ra, kind of has the, even though Voltron came out, the technically Voltron reboot came beforehand. Kind of how in She-Ra, they have, what do you call it? They have the whole idea of, like, nature versus technology kind of thing. Kind of similar to, like, Sonic Sat AM kind of thing. This kind of, doesn't have, like, that idea, but it is a genre of, like, oh, the kids are all lost out in space, and now they're not really trying to they're not really trying to go home after like episode 2 or something. They're not really trying to go back home. They are like going out there to defend the universe because they're the only ones who can do it. And it is kind of like that. And not only that, like, you have multiple characters that are kind of... You have multiple characters. I'm not sure if the original one had this, but you have multiple characters of different ethnicities. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing either. You have the multiple characters of different ethnicities. You have it where it's obviously like the Super Sentai kind of thing. Even though they have the Super Sentai kind of thing where, again, each of them is literally starts out wearing their colored clothing of their, wearing their colored clothing of, who's going to become the red paladin is wearing red. Who's wearing the black, who's going to be the black paladin is wearing black. Who's wearing the blue paladin, who's going to be the blue paladin who's wearing blue. Stuff like that. It's like, oh, I wonder who's going to get which lion. And then, like, on top of that, you have, of course, you have the nerdy character, who's in Pidge. You have, the big, lovable hunk, who eats a lot, though he also provides a bit of the nerdiness also with helping with tech. You have Lance, the Loverboy, the Loverboy, which is literally the nickname they give him in the show. You have Shiro, the cool-headed leader. You have Shiro, the cool-headed leader, who kind of has like a badass story a little bit. And then you have Keith. Oh, God, Keith. I love Keith because he's my favorite character. And it's because he's Domon Kashu. He is the Wolverine. He is this is the guy I've really noticed like this. Like, he is every, like, 90s or early 2000s, like, super epic cool character. He has the long hair. He's the badass lone wolf. He kind of has an attitude. And, he's the one who starts off with a sword. And eventually, like, you will be leader someday, Keith. And, like, you'll get, like, a cool scar on your face. And you'll also just push the badass meter up even further. Because, like, any of those early 2000s, late 90s main characters, maybe even earlier before that, but any of those characters, he has to have a pet wolf. But not only a pet wolf that can teleport. And I'm like, oh God, I need to incorporate that into one of my D&D sessions. Into my D&D game. I love this character. Because I'm like, oh my God, it's like every badass edgelord thing that I always love in all these characters that like, video games and like animes that are kind of slowly trying to edge out a bit more or like not make them the main focus. Oh, I forgot to mention, he's also a hybrid of an half alien, half human. And I'm like, oh God, he's like, it's so bad, but like, God damn, something's in my eye. No. Sorry, but it's stuff like that. Well, now the color coordinated, like, oh, I wonder who these are gonna be. Well, there's like that. The characters I all love, especially Shiro, Keith, and Pidge. I think those are like my 3 favorites. Lance is and Princess Allura. I forgot to mention Princess Allura and Corn. I don't forget his name. They're kind of like the Zardon of the first season, where like the lions, where the paladins of Voltron ride in their different lines, which I love each of the lions' design since each of them has their own abilities, their own class and stuff like that. Like kind of their own thing. The yellow one's Earth and like is the heavy armored. Blue is, I'm not really sure what Blue is. I guess he's more of the standard. Like he shoots ice. He's the ice one, and he shoots maybe long range. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he's a more environmental one. You have Pidge. Pidge is the green line, which shoots which is more connected with nature and also is the shield of the group because it literally forms a shield. Then you have Red, which is the super fast, wild, awesome one. Can you guess who was season 1 who got that one? And then you have the Black Line, which is kind of the more weaponized one, I'm assuming, where this one is the one that can travel the farthest through space. It is probably like the most powerful out of all the lions. And basically after that, it is kind of like, it's not really episodic because there is an overarching story with all this, like, and each character kind of has their own reasons for either staying with Voltron or leaving or wanting to leave Voltron. Kind of. Hunk, towards the end, Hunk gets more of a reason, sort of like the end of season 7. But, like, there's different reasons, like, Shiro apparently left on a mission for a place called Kerberos, so like Cerberus, with Pidge's brother and father, but 3 years later he pops back up on Earth, and now his hair is a little white. He has a robot arm that's freaking super cool because it like shines with like this aura called quintessence, and it's like a lightsaber but a hand. Basically, it's shining, burning fingers from come here, you. Oh, not you, Axel! From Gundam Mobile what is it? Gundam Mobile Fighter. I want to say Shining Burning Fingers, which is the one Gundam series I actually watched, and it's probably the one where I'm like, fuck yeah, I can't wait for the other ones. And I started watching some of the other Gundams, like this isn't the same thing. Well, I did already bring up Domo and Kashu. But, I'm gonna put you back over here. But, yeah, like, he has a cool name. Like, that's awesome. Even though I will say by season 3 or 4, I was like, oh my god, just die. For Shiro. But, like, each one of them had, but, like, each of them kind of has their own reason. Like, even Keith is, like, trying to find out, like, kind of who his mother is. And, like, this thing, I think about this mysterious dagger that he has, which is one of the cooler weapons, because I always love the idea of a retractable blade. And that blade, it's kind of like that. It's like a dagger that turns into a sword. I'm like, that's fucking cool! But, this show. But, like, and the thing is, like, eventually, like, a lot of these things are brought up and they are finished. But by God, they kind of... Because this is the part where I kind of dislike about the show a little bit. And it's that... And maybe it is probably better writing, I'd probably assume. But, like, everyone kind of feels... some things kind of, like... Some storylines kind of pop in and pop out, which kind of feels a lot very similar to, like, older cartoons. Again, like, early 2000s, late 90's. Where every episode is kind of episodic... And, like, certain plot lines will be brought up later on, but it's going to take a while for that to happen. Which I've said that with things like Steven Universe I like, or Steven Adventure Time, Star Versus, kinda. Star Versus has its hiccups. But stuff like that, you kind of see where to think of. These are longer running shows, stuff like that. But, and I get this is like only 13 episodes, in some cases only 6 episodes per seasons. So you kind of have to space certain things out, I guess. But like, it's like, Pidge is like, I am gung-ho and finding my dad and brother. We're not going to bring this back up until season 4. Or like, we're only going to show like, oh, here's a little bit of info. Which I guess kind of makes sense in some of these things. But yeah, like, certain stuff like that is just like, really? Or like a new bad guy will be introduced in Lotor. But then like, he'll like literally disappear for like an entire season. Or like you'll be like the witch Hagar who works for the Galra, who are the main bad guys of the show. She's like, I'm gonna bring in Lotor to take in for to replace Zarkon, the main bad guy. And then he's not really a threat until kind of the season after that. Kind of, not really. He's just kind of meh. Because I don't really understand. Because like he's just like, okay, why are you doing this stuff? I understood what the fuck he was doing when I first saw his shit. Because at one point they find this. Because again, like I should bring up Voltron in this review of Voltron. Voltron is a giant magical robot that is created from these 5 different separate line robots created by Princess Allure's father, who is driven by Zarkon, Allure's father, as well as other leaders. So think Breath of the Wild. If anything, yeah. Think exactly Breath of the Wild, where like you have the ancient heroes, and now like these are the new hero generation taking over these giant robots to fight evil. But these robots are partially partially superpowered because they have quintessence. They channel quintessence and like form quintessence, which is like the life force of everything. And like this magical energy, which I think I love. One, I love the designs of the lions. 2, I love the controls of the lions. So that I always love the idea of lions just of like controlling a robot, and it's just like these two analogs, and they kind of just go like that stuff. Like I always love that ever since I saw it in like Code Geass. I'm like, yeah, if I ever drive a robot, I want it to be like that. Giant robot like that. And the thing is also like another reason why is because I love sci fantasy, because it's like here's technology that in a sense like anyone technically could pilot, kind of, if you're chosen by the Lions, which is cool. But yeah, that happens, and it's cool seeing. And I love that bit, like the Lions kind of have to choose their riders. It's not like they can just jump into anyone can jump into anything. The Lion has to want you to drive it. But like the Black Lion, like I said, originally was used by Zarkon, and like the first and second season were literally Zarkon wanting to get his goddamn hands on the Black Lion. And it's freaking great, especially when like the Bayar, which are like the main weapons of the Paladins when they're not in their mechs, when they're not in the Lions, it's like just like this thing where it kind of looks like the Needler from Halo. It kind of looks like the Needler gun, but it forms into different weapons depending on who you are. Like Keith, no matter which Bayard he gets, because he gets 2 at some point, he gets his like one-handed sword. Lance gets his rifle. Pidge gets like a grappling hook. Hunk gets a Gatling gun. Allura later on gets a whip, and Shiro never uses it. He just keeps his magic hand, his robot hand. But like I said, but back to what I was saying earlier, like Zarkon 1 is a great villain. At one point, he goes straight Darth Vader on them. The enemies are smart, but again, like certain things they extend out. Like again, Lotor doesn't really become an enemy till like way later, and it's really just set up for like other things later on, probably. Well, it is set up for things later on. I've seen all the seasons. I know kind of what happens. And it really is just to set up certain things. But Lotor was kind of there to be the pretty boy face kind of bad guys. To be like, oh, I'm the charmer bad guy. But in the end, it's just like, dude, I knew what you were... Because at one point, they find this magical meteorite that apparently can warp into different realities and also access the quintessence field, which will give like unlimited power that Voltron was made of. That all the lines were made of this same metal, and Lotor tricks the Paladins into stealing this metal. And as soon as you immediately see his first ship that he builds, the first ship, you're like, oh, that's a pair of legs. He's building his own Voltron. But it's so spaced out where it's like, really? Really? I know what's gonna happen. I know what it is. Are you really gonna make me wait all these seasons? Which, by God, I don't even want to know what'll happen. Like what it must have been like for you to be stuck on that season. You're like, okay, Lotor, get the ball rolling, and it never gets rolling. That must have sucked. I'm not sure how, because there's like 7 seasons, but like certain seasons are like only 6 episodes. But I'm assuming this is the same episode, just broken, same season, just broken up. So I do want to know when this show technically did actually come out, but the thing is, like, my big problem is maybe a bit of pacing, which I guess in a sense it makes more sense that like all of this doesn't happen immediately, or it's not just like, oh, it all happens in one season, like The Flash. It's like, oh, here's our big problem, oh, season done, next problem, next season. No, I do like that there are subplots, and it does. It's cool that it takes some time, but then there's also things like, okay, one, I think this character should probably be trying to find her family a little bit more, or at least show us a little bit more that she's working on it in the background, which we see every so often. Maybe, like, the whole thing with Keith, like, because here's the thing, like, eventually Shiro, like, at season 1 or 2, he literally just says, Keith, if I die, you're going to become the new leader. He's like, I want you to be the new leader. Really? It's kind of out of the blue and nowhere. You're going to be on the new leader. All right, cool. And then when Keith eventually does become the new leader, everyone is wearing their goddamn same colors. Like, Keith moves up from the Red Lion to the Black Lion. Lance moves up from the Blue Lion to the Red Lion. And Allura becomes the Paladin of the Blue Lion. Yet, this is how I knew there was a problem. Because Keith still had his red Paladin armor. And Lance still had his blue Paladin armor. And I'm like, no. No, you put Keith in his goddamn black armor, and you put Lance in his goddamn red armor. You don't flip this shit. I know that you're bullcrapping me right now. Because I know at some point Keith is gonna not be the leader. Because, again, like, another thing with Keith is that, like, the season where he does become leader, and this is one of my bigger problems, where he becomes leader, he's shown that he's rash, he's emotional, he's not that well of a leader. But instead of him learning from that, Shiro comes back later on, and I'm like, really? Really? Like, instead of us following Keith and slowly maybe see him becoming the leader that they need, Keith then goes, like, literally, like, the season after that is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go leave and join these super which, mind you, again, just to show how badass Keith is, he joins a super awesome Galra. Again, the Galras are evil, but these are the good Galras. Galra Strike Force, which are basically the Assassin's Guild, the Assassin Brotherhood from Assassin's Creed, but Galra, and instead of hidden blades, you have these magic swords, which are just a knife and then turns into a goddamn sword, and it looks awesome. And they have, like, these awesome, like, like, hoods. They have, like, a mask that's, like, black, but it has, like, these glowing purple eyes and lines on it. And, like, it looks so cool. I love the design on it. And Keith's like, yeah, I'm going to go join these guys. Which, I will say, they did set that up at least more. Because he's, like, trying to be like, okay, I found out Lotor is getting quintessence from these areas. Which quintessence can be used for fuel, for ships, and stuff like that. But everyone in Voltron's like, no, we should focus more on doing this instead. And Keith's like, no, Shiro, I'm the leader. I should be doing this instead. We should be doing this instead. And they're like, no. Keith, pay attention. You need to do what I'm doing because I'm still the leader. And Keith's like, yeah, no, I'm leaving. And leaves to go join the Galra. Well, not the Galra, the Blade of Marmura, yeah. Which, again, this character reminds me so much of Raimundo from Shaolin Showdown before they I don't know if they rebooted it or they tried continuing it and they added, like, the one kid, like, cousin, I don't know. But he kind of reminds me of that where, like, he's, like, he could borderline, like, join the bad guys at some point if he wanted to. But Keith's story is, like, one of my favorite ones still, again. And maybe it's because I just love the badass character, the edgelord. But, But yeah, like Keith kind of just disappears for like a season or two, and I'm like, really, really, damn, that sucks. And like Shiro becomes a leader again. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like that, it just stinks that like you don't give Keith his armor that he should have, which would permanently set him as the leader. Which at least later on, when he does follow this lead all the way to the end, he does actually eventually become the leader. That he actually eventually does become the leader. And this is really only after Shiro gets his own super big badass fleet robot, which is like, okay, you have Voltron, and then you have, it's like Transformers. You have Optimus Prime, who's awesome, and then you have literally the planet of the Autobots that turns into a giant robot. That's what Shiro gets. Kind of. It's, okay, better example because it's better. It's someone getting Gurren Lagann, and then someone getting Dai Gurren Lagann, which is, with the giant, if I remember, Dai Gurren Lagann is the one when they finally get the ship. When they fuse with the ship. Or no, was that was farther on, I think. I'm trying to remember. I think it was made with Dai Gurren Lagann. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Where it's like, okay, Shiro, okay. So when I saw Shiro get that giant super mega robot, and I'm like, oh god, thank you. Because now Shiro can stay the fuck away from the team. Or at least pull, because he should have been a mentor to Keith more after that one bit. But no, he just took over again. Though I will say that they could have still had this, but the show is fun. Although I have some problems with pacing, there are some really, really good scenes where, like, when Pidge finds eventually finds her family and stuff like that, where Hunk is also feeling homesick. The point where they bring a warning to Earth, or like a character brings a warning to Earth and says, we need to prepare for the Galra attack, and if you guys don't think you're ready, these 5 paladins of Voltron came from Earth, and they're sacrificing their lives to save you guys. And they show like the clips they're supposed to send to their parents and family, and just the family just like all just like teary-eyed, or like, let's, like, stuff like that. Like, it's so good. And I love it. I love that stuff. Not everything is completely spelled out for you, which is great also. Again, like, at one point you find, like, the version, like, I forgot what it's called, where King Arthur gets Excalibur, or when Excalibur was forged. You basically kind of have that, but the Altea, which are where Princess Allura and Koran came from, which are from a dead planet, who were, again, the original creators of Voltron. Their planet was killed 10,000 years ago by the Galra Empire. Zarkon somehow survived 10,000 years because of Quintessence, as well as Hagar had. And Hagar being like his like witch of magic and stuff like that. Which again, freaking I love it like when it's a sci-fi setting, goes, "Get me the clerics," and I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, cool, magic. But again, other than pacing wise, on certain things, it has really, really, really good scenes that I really love. Even though, again, like, some things feel like, my God, I cannot understand. I don't even want to know how much it must feel like to wait, like, a year. Like, something is, like, a subplot is placed in, like, you are half Galra, Keith! And then it's not brought up again for, like, another 2 seasons later. I'm like, oh, God, did they have to wait 2 years for that to come out? I don't think Voltron came out in 2000, what? 11? I don't think it came out then. Maybe the seasons actually come out a lot faster. I'm not entirely sure. It has a very Avatar: The Last Airbender with their animation. I think it might be the same company. I don't know, but I feel like it probably is. But I like this show. I like these things, and at least now, like, from where it is, like in season 7, like, I don't think there are some... No, I think everything is literally tied up in a really nice bow for certain things. Haggard is somewhere else, but I'm pretty sure she has something to do with the Altean invasion that's coming. Oh wait, I forgot to mention, like, not everything's spelled out for you. Let me go back to that bit. Certain things are not spelled out for you, which is great. What was it? The lion, like, why was Voltron made up of 5 lions in space? Well, it turns out this magical land that only Alteans can get to, certain specific Alteans can get to, is guarded by a giant white massive lion made of aura. And it's just like, okay, you know what? Alteans built the Voltron lions. There's a giant aura lion protecting this magical land of that where like these the Altean alchemists can go to gain more power and stuff. Okay, I kind of understand where the Voltron lions got the idea to be lions, or where they made lions from. I get that idea. I like that Quintessence is the life force and everything, and like literally this stuff can make something where it's like, okay, I built a battleship that can shoot lasers and has shields. Well, it turns out if I charge it up with a crystal made of pure quintessence, that sucker will not only gain exceptionally more power so strong that apparently like nothing on Earth can power these things. Not only will it gain that, it will also gain new abilities that will turn them into a giant mech. Or, in the Voltron case, give each of the lions different elemental powers. Which, I'm not entirely sure what the Black Lion is. I think the Black Lion is space, because red is fire, blue is water or ice, green is nature, yellow is earth, and then the Black Lion, I think, is space. I want to say it's space or dark matter. I think it's space or quintessence, maybe, actually. I don't know. And also, I love that, like, because the Black Lion is black, it has to be outlined with, unlike all the other ones where they think have, like, blue screens, that one has, like, a purple screen, like, purple lights in it, because that's how you do that. That's how you do it with something black, when I'm like, fudge, yeah. But, yeah, I like the show. It is great. The characters are fun. I love the characters. My favorite episode is definitely, like, probably the Dungeons and Dragons episode where I'm like, after playing Dungeons and Dragons for like a year or so, and I'm like, oh, I get a lot of this. But also because like they mix up with the different video games where it's like kind of Legend of Zelda. Now it's kind of like a first person shooter where they're shooting arrows and stuff. And I'm like, and they're doing it all like a hollow chessboard from like Star Wars kind of thing. And I'm like, you know what? I would love if they had that and like computers controlled half of the things that we did instead of just the character sheet. Like, that'd be so great. And then I guess they're probably something like that for on your phone where you can put your character sheet and stuff. That would be so great. And also Shiro always being like, I want to play as a paladin. You're already a paladin, but I want to play as a paladin. I freaking love it. Shiro's like so innocent in that moment. But and again, like certain things also happen too where like they hint at things to come like beforehand. Because here's the thing, like they do pace everything out well, kind of to a point. Things are paced out kind of well to a point for the story where like Shiro comes back and he's like, oh, I have such a headache. Hopefully this won't come back to bite us in the ass later. Oh, obviously it does. Or again, Keith's just being fed up. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to join the cool super guys because they're actually going to help me with this, and it's actually going to be very important later on. Actually, yeah, there's a new thing, because Lance, at one point, I think in last season, like season 6, he gets an ability to wield an Altean sword with his Bayard that apparently Allure's dad wielded. And the question of that point was like, wait. And then, like, it's never brought up again. And, like, I'm pretty sure it's probably not going to be brought up again for maybe it'll be brought up in season 8, maybe in season 9, if they really want to extend it, which is the one part is like, really get back to these certain subplots. I want to know these subplots. Even though I will say that, like, they did the whole, like, training in like a world that time is different with Keith. So they made him 2 years older, as well as again, that's where he got his cosmic world that teleports, which is so badass. And his mom is another badass, and you have like this other half Galra that's gonna be his love interest. And so I'm like, God damn it, Keith, you're just getting more and more epic, and I love you every time. Pidge is awesome. I love Pidge. I love Pidge, and I just love like Alora's freaking awesome too, and Lance, it's a little bit better, and like you kind of see that romance with Laura and Lance a little bit more. And Shiro again is cool, but by God, at some point I just was like, just die so Keith becomes the leader. But yeah, this is a good show. I like it. Does it have issues? Yes. Am I gonna go ahead next paycheck and go buy all 5 lions and have them built so I can place them over here on my shelf? Probably. But and I also want if I said on the pop code. But yeah, this show is awesome. I like it. DreamWorks is actually doing a really good thing with these reboots. And I would love if they could get their goddamn hands on Thundercats and remake Thundercats on if they remake Thundercats on Netflix, I think that'd be awesome. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Things watch my true videos that I've done. Links are on my face. Click on this over. So what do you guys think? This is awesome, and this show's awesome, and I'd say definitely check it out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to videos, and we will see you later. Super badass, awesome space sci-fi fantasy ninjas. And give Keith his armor back, please. Or the black armor, and everyone gets their own armor. Laura can stay with pink. I forgot to mention another holdover from the early 2000s, late 90s, maybe around the 80s, was the princess that can talk to her cute little mice. And I'm just like, really? You know what, fine, whatever. These mice are extremely useful. Also, I love the scene where Laura is like trying to fly her lion, and like the Keith's wolf in the back is just chewing on things. She's like, stop biting things! And Keith just goes, he's lonely, let him up into the cockpit. She's like, no! And I'm like, oh my God, I've had that conversation with my dogs before. I've had that conversation about my dogs before.